Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Anna, and I'm really happy you're here with us today. We're in the studio again, and we've got a really useful topic, something super practical that you'll use again and again in real life.
Yeah, absolutely. Today we're diving into supermarket English, shopping vocabulary, useful phrases, little details that you hear all the time when you walk into a store, and the things people never really explain. And of course, we'll talk about the mistakes learners usually make.
And the funny part is, people think supermarket English is simple, but it's actually full of small, everyday expressions that native speakers use without thinking. So, learning it makes your English feel more natural, more alive, more real.
Exactly. And I want everyone listening to imagine us sitting here in the studio. We've got the microphones, the warm lights, our notes, and we're just chatting like friends. Nothing formal, nothing stressful, just slow, clear English.
So, Max, let's start from the beginning. You walk into a supermarket. What's the very first thing a language learner needs to know?
The first thing, honestly, the word supermarket itself, because some people say grocery store, some say supermarket, and in the UK, you even hear shops. So the listener should know that supermarket and grocery store are basically the same. One is a bit more American, that's all.
Right. And one thing that always confuses people is the difference between a shopping cart and a basket.
Oh, absolutely. If you're new to English, you might not know which is which. So imagine this. The big one with wheels, the one you push around the store, that's the shopping cart. Some people also call it a trolley, especially in the UK. And the smaller one that you carry in your hand is a basket.
I remember when I first moved to the US, I walked into a store and someone said, "Do you need a cart?" And I thought they were telling me to go somewhere outside. I had no idea what they meant.
Right? That's the thing, because in some places, cart means something else. But inside a supermarket, it just means the thing you push.
Okay, so now imagine our listeners are standing at the entrance of the supermarket. They've picked a cart or a basket. What's next? What vocabulary do they need immediately?
The word aisle. Seriously, this word is so important. Aisle means the long, narrow walkways between shelves. So if someone says it's in aisle 5, they're telling you where to go.
And the spelling is so weird. People always think it's pronounced acyl, but it's not. It sounds like isle, just like the word isle, the island.
Exactly. So don't worry about the spelling too much. Just remember the sound. And another common word is shelf or shelves. That's where the products sit.
Something else people notice right away is the price tag. It's just the label that tells you the price.
And don't forget discount or sale. When you see signs like 20% off or buy one, get one free, that's a sale. And off here means you pay less, which is confusing for learners because off usually means the opposite of on.
Yeah, English is strange sometimes.
Oh, for sure. But that's why we're here, to make it simple.
Now, Max, something I see students struggle with is asking for help in the supermarket. People get nervous. They don't want to talk to staff.
Yeah, that's super common. But honestly, supermarket workers are used to being asked. And the easiest, most natural phrase is, "Excuse me, where can I find?" And then you just say the item.
Slow, polite, simple. Excuse me, where can I find the rice? Or, excuse me, do you have almond milk?
Exactly. And listeners, notice how soft the tone is. Not too strong, not too formal, just polite.
I also like the phrase, is this the right aisle for? It sounds friendly and native.
Yes, and here's something important for our listeners. You don't have to speak fast to sound natural. You can say everything slowly like we're doing right now.
Slow English is clear English. Clear English is confident English.
Beautifully said. And I think one more thing people notice when they first explore a supermarket is how products are grouped. You've got the produce section, the dairy section, the meat section, and you don't need to know everything at once, but these names are useful.
So maybe we should gently walk them through it. Take them in a little mental tour while we're here in the studio. Like, imagine you're turning into the fresh produce area.
Yes, that's perfect because the produce section is often the first big area in most supermarkets. And produce in English means fruits and vegetables, fresh food.
And this is where some of the most important vocabulary starts. Words like fresh, ripe, organic, packed, loose. But we'll get into that in the next part.
I want to add something here. When a learner hears the word produce, sometimes they think it means produce, like to produce something. But the pronunciation is different. Produce is the supermarket section. Produce is the verb.
English, always keeping us on our toes.
Always. But that's why we talk it through, slowly, like this.
So, before we move deeper into vocabulary, I want our listeners to feel comfortable with the basic layout because understanding the structure of a supermarket helps you understand the language. It's easier to memorize words when you imagine the place.
Exactly. And that's why describing this supermarket is so important, because when you see it in your mind, the vocabulary sticks.
So, let's paint the picture. You walk in, you have your cart or basket. There are aisles going left and right. You see signs like bakery, frozen foods, household items, produce, snacks, all these sections.
And each of those signs contains useful vocabulary. Frozen means super cold, kept in a freezer. Household items means things for cleaning or home care. Bakery is bread and pastries.
And don't forget another helpful phrase. I'm just looking, thank you. If a worker approaches you and asks if you need help, this is the easiest, polite way to say you're okay.
And it sounds very natural, not too direct, not too formal, just polite.
Right. So we've covered the entrance, the basic vocabulary, the structure, and now I think we're ready to move deeper because the moment you enter the produce section, the real vocabulary begins.
Exactly. That's where the fruit and vegetable terms live, and also the most natural everyday sentences people use.
And I want to tell you something funny about that, Max. Whenever I walk into the produce section, I feel like English changes. People say things like, these tomatoes look fresh, or these apples are too ripe. And learners sometimes have no idea what that means.
True, and there's a reason for that. Produce has its own little vocabulary world, and we're going to open that world slowly,
Step by step,
word by word.
without rushing.
Exactly. So let's walk into the produce section together, even though we're sitting right here in the studio.
That's the magic of a podcast.
All right, let's start with the first thing you see when you enter produce.
All right, Max. So we just walked into the produce section in our imagination, even though we're sitting right here in the studio. And honestly, this is where most learners get confused. The produce section looks simple, but the vocabulary can be surprisingly tricky.
Yeah, because it's not just apple, banana, lettuce. It's the adjectives people use, the ways they describe freshness, the questions they ask each other. And the funny thing is, native speakers don't even realize they're using special words. They just say them naturally.
Exactly. So let's help our listeners understand those little details. Imagine we're standing in front of the apples. Red apples, green apples, shiny apples. And the first thing someone might say is, "These apples look fresh today."
And that word fresh is huge. Fresh means the food is new, not old, not soft, not going bad. It's a very positive word. And you hear it all the time, like fresh bread, fresh milk, fresh produce. And then there's the word ripe. This one confuses people a lot. Ripe means a fruit is ready to eat. It's soft enough, sweet enough, perfect for eating now.
And the opposite is unripe, which means it needs time. If a banana is still green, it's unripe. If a peach is hard, it's unripe. Many learners think ripe just means good, but it's more specific than that.
You know, Marks, sometimes when I buy bananas, I pick some ripe ones for today and some unripe ones for later in the week. And the person at the checkout always smiles because they can see the strategy.
Smart shopping. And there's another word people often see in the produce section, organic. That simply means grown without chemicals or pesticides. People pay extra for it sometimes.
And may always say it proudly. Oh, I only buy organic strawberries.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle thing. But learners should know the word because it's everywhere. So if someone says, "Are these organic?" they're asking a very common question.
Now, vocabulary is one thing, but the sentences people say while choosing produce are just as important. For example, these tomatoes look fresh. This lettuce looks a bit old. Do you think these oranges are sweet?
Exactly. And one sentence I hear people use all the time is, "Do you want me to get a bag for these?" Because many fruits need a small plastic bag. And it sounds so normal to a native speaker. But for a learner, the phrase, "get a bag," might be confusing.
And there's something else that learners should understand. The way native speakers talk while touching the produce. They squeeze the fruit lightly and say things like, "Oh, this one is soft," or "This one feels firm." And the word firm simply means not too soft, not too hard.
And that matters because in English, describing food with textures is super normal. Firm apples, soft peaches, crunchy carrots, crisp lettuce. These words make you sound natural.
So imagine us standing there in the produce section. We pick up an apple, you say, "This apple is really firm." And I say, "Yeah, but the color looks nice. It must taste good."
That's exactly how real conversations happen. And I want our listeners to notice something important. These aren't advanced words. They're simple, but they're real. They're alive. They're actually used every single day.
Okay, now let's move to the dairy section. Still in our studio, still just talking, but this time imagine the cold air hitting your face when you open the fridge door in the supermarket.
Oh, yes, the dairy section always feels like a little refrigerator. So the words here are things like milk, yogurt, cheese, butter. But there are also labels people might not understand, like low fat, full fat, fat free, lactose free.
I remember the first time I saw a fat-free yogurt, I thought it meant it was bad, like no taste, but it just means no fat. The flavor is still there.
And the most important thing learners need to check in the dairy section is the expiry date. It's the date when the product is no longer safe to eat. So when you hear someone say, "always check the expiry date," it means you should look for the date printed on the package. And I always say this to students. Don't be afraid to read labels. Even native speakers don't understand every word on food labels. We all read slowly and carefully.
Yeah, especially when choosing cheese. Cheese vocabulary can be scary. You have cheddar, mozzarella, parmesan, feta, and each one tastes totally different.
And in the dairy section, people also ask questions like, "Do you prefer low-fat milk or full-fat milk?" Or "which yogurt brand do you recommend?" These are all natural supermarket sentences.
All right, let's move to the meat and fish section. Even though we're still sitting here in the studio, let's imagine the smell of fresh meat and the workers behind the counter are wearing gloves.
The vocabulary here can be intense. Chicken breast, chicken thighs, ground beef, sausages, salmon, shrimp. But the most important thing is how people ask for help.
Exactly. At the meat counter, people say, "Could you cut this thinner?" Or, "Do you have a smaller piece?" Or, "Can I get a half a kilo of this?" And they say it politely. Soft voice, friendly tone, not too strong.
Another important phrase is price per kilo or price per pound. It shows how the price is calculated. And people ask things like, is this price per kilo? Or is the salmon fresh today?
And for fish, you hear words like fillet, which means a piece of fish without bones. It's a tricky word for some learners.
Yes, and filet has a silent T in many accents. That alone can confuse people. But again, we're here to make it simple.
Exactly. So in this whole second part, we've covered fruits, vegetables, dairy, meat, fish, and all the useful sentences around them. But I want to repeat something important. This isn't about memorizing words. It's about understanding the situations where the words are used.
Right. And that's why we talk slowly. That's why we explain with scenes, not lists. When you imagine the place, the vocabulary stays with you. It becomes part of your memory.
Right. And if someone is listening right now and feeling a little overwhelmed, it's okay. You don't have to learn everything today. Just enjoy the conversation. Let the language flow in.
We've walked through the produce area, the dairy section, the meat and fish counter, and there's one more important part of the supermarket left.
The checkout.
Yes, the place where English becomes very practical, very fast.
People hear sentences like, do you need a bag? Would you like your receipt? Cash or card? Is your card debit or credit? And the scanning sounds, the price totals, the polite small talk, all of that is real English.
And that's exactly what we need to explore next.
So let's walk toward the checkout together, even though we're still here in the studio.
All right, Max, we talked about produce, dairy, meat, fish, and honestly, I feel like listeners now understand the supermarket a lot better. But we've saved the most important section for last.
The checkout, the final boss of supermarket English.
It really is, because this is the moment every learner becomes nervous. Prices, questions, quick dialogue, small talk, everything happens fast.
Exactly. And the cashier usually speaks very quickly, not because they want to, but because they repeat the same sentences 100 times a day. So their mouth just goes into automatic mode.
So let's slow those sentences down. Let's break the whole checkout experience into a friendly studio conversation. And remember, listeners, we're still here behind the microphones, taking you step by step.
So you're standing in line, your basket or your cart is full, you move slowly toward the cashier. And the first vocabulary word you hear is checkout, the place where you pay.
And the person working there is the cashier. In British English, sometimes people say till for the cash register, but in American English, we usually say checkout counter.
Exactly. And as soon as it's your turn, the cashier might look at you and say, "Hi, how are you?" Or "Ready to check out?" It's friendly, but many learners get surprised because they think it's the start of a long conversation.
But it's not. It's just routine. You can simply say, I'm good, thanks. Or, yes, I'm ready.
And then they start scanning your items. Beep, beep, beep. Every item goes across the barcode, which is that little black and white pattern that machines read.
And while scanning, the cashier sometimes asks questions. One of the most common ones is, do you need a bag?
Yes, and learners often freeze here because the question is so short. But the answer is simple. Yes, please. Or no, thank you.
And there's another question. Do you have a loyalty card? This one is everywhere in the US. It means, do you have a special store card to get discounts?
And if you don't have one, you just say, no, I don't. And if you want to sound really natural, you can add, it's okay.
Perfect. Now let's talk about the total price moment. The cashier will look at you and say something like, your total is $23.45. And this moment scares people because they're afraid to misunderstand the number.
Exactly. So here's something important for learners.
The cashier always says the dollar amount with two parts, $23.45. That means $23.45.
And then comes the classic question, cash or card?
And this one is super easy to answer. Just say, card please, or cash please. And if they need more details, they'll ask for them.
And if you're using a card, especially in the US, you might hear debit or credit.
Yes, and many learners don't know the difference. But honestly, even native speakers sometimes don't care. You can say debit if it's your bank card, or credit if it's your credit card. Very simple.
And then the cashier hands you the terminal and says, you can insert, tap, or swipe.
And learners look totally confused, so let's explain. Insert means put the card inside the machine. Tap means hold it near the reader, contactless. Swipe is the old school method, sliding the card on the side.
And once the payment goes through, the cashier usually asks, would you like your receipt?
Yes, and a natural answer is yes, please, or no, thank you, or even email is fine if the store offers digital receipts.
And sometimes you hear polite small talk like, have a nice day, thanks for shopping with us, or take care. These are friendly goodbye phrases.
And you can answer with, thank you, you too.
Now, Max, I want to talk about something deeper, the cultural side of checkout, because American cashiers are usually very friendly. They smile, they talk, they sometimes ask, how's your day going?
Yes, and that surprises learners. But here's the important thing. They don't actually expect a long conversation. A simple, good, thanks, or it's going well is enough.
But in the UK, the chat is a bit more quiet, right?
Much quieter. British people can be friendly too, but the tone is softer. You might only hear, would you like a bag? And thank you. That's it.
And that's why learning supermarket English is also learning culture. It's not just words, it's how people behave, how they speak, how they politely move through daily life.
Exactly. And I always tell learners, if you can manage a supermarket checkout confidently, you can manage almost any basic conversation in English because it teaches you timing, politeness, short answers, and listening skills.
And the best part is that it's so repeatable. Shopping happens every week, so you get natural practice.
Speaking of practice, we should give listeners a few natural sentences they can use anywhere, in any supermarket, any country, any English-speaking environment.
Yes, let's do it, but in a natural, back-and-forth way. Max, if I need help finding something, what do I say?
Excuse me, where can I find the pasta? Or, excuse me, is this the right aisle for cereal? Both sound polite and very natural.
And what if something is too expensive?
Oh, that's a bit pricey. Or, this is more expensive than I expected.
And if I find something cheap?
That's a good deal. Or, this is on sale today.
And at checkout, how do I sound polite?
Just keep it soft. Yes, please. No, thank you. Card, please. Could I have a bag? Short, calm, friendly.
Perfect. And Max, there's one more thing I want to mention. This idea that vocabulary only sticks when you understand the situation.
Absolutely. If you imagine the supermarket clearly, the sounds, the objects, the people, the language becomes real. It doesn't feel like a list anymore. It becomes a memory.
And we're trying to create that memory here in the studio, even though we're not in a supermarket. Our words take you there.
That's the magic of learning through conversation. It's alive.
And now that we've gone through the entire supermarket from start to finish, I think our listeners can walk into any store with confidence.
They know how to enter, how to navigate the aisles, how to choose products, how to talk to staff, and how to survive checkout.
And maybe even enjoy it.
Yes, enjoy it, because learning English in everyday life is supposed to feel natural, not stressful.
Before we wrap today's episode, Max, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Just one thing. Slow English wins. Slow English is clear English.
And confident English.
Exactly.
All right, everyone. If you enjoyed learning with us today, stay with us for the next episode. We want to keep helping you make English feel simple and real.
And maybe next time we'll explore a totally different place. Maybe a cafe, maybe a pharmacy, maybe even a job interview. Who knows?
Just make sure you listen to yesterday's episodes too. They'll help you build even more confidence.
And bring your English with you into your daily life. That's how you grow.
We'll see you in the next one. Not goodbye, just see you there.